The Element Cup is coming June 28th in Pokemon Go. The Element Cup will be running alongside the Master League format. It is a limited type format. It is limited to fire, water, and grass type Pokemon. And instead of being like the Master League, it's a little cup format. So 500 CP Pokemon, and they have to be the pre-evolutions of an evolutionary line of Pokemon. So not Venusaur, we're thinking about Bulbasaur here. Well, I was going to make a top 10 list for the Element Cup Pokemon there, but there ended up being more than 10, so I decided to divide it up by those 3 types, this video being the top 5 fire type Pokemon for the Element Cup. If you're curious about the top 5 water types and the top 5 grass types, I already did those videos, so link in the description to check them out. And then if you want a Element Cup team building guide or the Element Cup simplified, I am going to be coming out with those videos tomorrow, so make sure to stay tuned for that. At any rate, let's get into the top 5 fire types of the Element Cup. So starting out at number 5, we have Growlithe, specifically the Shadow variant of Growlithe, but both Growlithes are going to be at the bottom of the list here. So what's wrong with Growlithe? If you check out PvPoke, you'll see Shadow Growlithe is actually the best of the fire-type Pokemon in the overall ranking page on PvPoke there. So why is the Swagman rating this guy so poorly? Well, when it comes to the overall ranking on the PvPoke page, there are several things that work in Growlithe's favor that I feel artificially boosts its rank. For one, when it comes to the other better fire-type Pokemon, a lot of those mirror matchups end on the charge move. And because Growlithe has the higher attack stat, it's going to get the charge move priority, which means that it is beating those other fire-type Pokemon, specifically in the one shield, completely even situation. And then the other thing that's boosting this thing is that it's the fire type that can defeat Ducklet in the one shield situation. Of course, that is only the Aerial Ace Ducklet, not the Bubble Beam Ducklet. Aside from that, Growlithe really doesn't pose too many advantages compared to the other fire type Pokemon in the Element Cup. In fact, I have been testing out this heavy fast move spamming team, and one major issue I ran into when I was testing it with Shadow Growlithe there, because I was like, hey, best Ember damage in the entire cup, was that it couldn't full farm down grass type Pokemon. Like a lot of the grass type Pokemon I'd run into when practicing, I couldn't fully Ember them down. I'd have to throw a charge move in order to close out the fight, and they would end up reaching their own charge moves, which I would have to shield before I'd close out the fight pure Ember damage. And the pure Ember farm down never really put Shadow Growlithe into a position where it could reach 2 body slams on the next Pokemon that came in. So it was just kind of like, well, what's the point of being like a hard counter to grass type Pokemon if I have to spend a shield, you know, and I'm not even reaching additional charge moves for the next thing that comes in? It was just kind of goofy. So I had better experiences with that team using more tanky fire type Pokemon. So I'd say above all else, that was kind of like the final nail in the coffin for me when it came to Shadow Growlithe there. I was like, yeah, if you're not tanky enough to tank a grass type charge attack, like what's the point, man? What's the point? At any rate, Growlithe and Shadow Growlithe really aren't too much like different in performance to a lot of the other better fire type Pokemon in the Element Cup, because they're all basically running Body Slam with some sort of fire type charge move and Ember there. So if Growlithe is like your all-time fave, you're dedicated to the Growlithe, or maybe you do want the best Ember damage in the Element Cup and you don't care about the drawbacks to your tankiness, then by all means use the Growlithe there. Another thing I do want to comment on that is kind of bad for the Growlithe too is that against Cottony, even though we do resist it, that charm damage does hurt us really bad. And then another problem is against the Execute. With the Shadow Growlithe, Execute can actually beat Shadow Growlithe pure fast move damage, which is pretty awkward, you know? So yeah, you know, you got the bigger damage, but you definitely don't have the bulk, and not having the bulk definitely hurts in the Element Cup. Then coming in at number 4, we have Budew. For the top 5 fire type Pokemon for the Element Cup, we have Budew. Yeah, the truth is that there isn't 5 different good fire type Pokemon for the Element Cup. It's kind of sad. I mean, if you consider the Shadows, I guess there's technically 6, but yeah, there just aren't a lot of good fire types because fire type has it pretty rough in Pokemon Go in general. A lot of fire types have their stats translate poorly into Pokemon Go PvP, and then on top of that, fire type moves really aren't all that great in PvP. So the fire types got it pretty bad overall. So why is Budew on this list? Why didn't I put it in the grass type top 5 list there? Well, the Hidden Power Poison Budew from what I could tell, checking out the matchups, actually had like a similar kind of performance to the fire-type Pokemon. Like it played more like a fire-type Pokemon than it did play like a grass-type Pokemon, so I thought it would be appropriate to put this into the fire-type one. And of course I needed a fifth species of Pokemon for the top 5 list here. At any rate, let's talk about Budew. So to clarify for you guys, when it comes to Budew in this top 5 list, and when it comes to Budew in the Element Cup in general, I feel like the best fast move, the best hidden power overall, is going to be the hidden power Poison, because we get the same type attack bonus on it, and you can hit the majority of grass types for super effective damage using hidden power Poison. And because we're a grass poison ourselves, we got that bigger resistance to the grass type Pokemon, which is also nice. Another thing to add to this is that Budew has a extraordinarily consistent matchup against Cottonee. Out of all of the fire type Pokemon, unfortunately, Budew is doing it the best. Like if you consider the 0-1 shield situation, I don't think any of the fire types, for the most part, can overcome Cottonee. But Budew can. So yeah, I guess that gives you a good idea of just how powerful Cottonee can be, but also gives you a good idea of why Budew can be useful. Now, unfortunately for Budew, the reason why it rates so lowly, despite having that mad swag there, is because you can see that its charge moves are only Grass Knot and Energy Ball. So even though it only costs 10k to unlock a secondary charge move, you're only really going to need one charge move here, because they're same coverage, right? Same coverage. So that does make Budew a little bit non-threatening to grass-type Pokemon in some scenarios, and can make it non-threatening to fire-type Pokemon. So you may be in the top 5 list for fire-type Pokemon, but we're really not managing opposing fire-type Pokemon all that well. That said, compared to, I guess, other grass-type Pokemon, the Hidden Power Poison does give you a neutral hit onto the fire-type Pokemon, so Budew really isn't all that bad when it's trapped into a bad matchup there. And then of course, we got a better water-type matchup than a lot of the fire types have, so another good reason why Budew makes the top 5 list for the fire-type Pokemon here. Now some of you might be curious about the Hidden Power Electric, like, oh man, you could totally smoke a Ducklet with that, and there are other Hidden Power users as well that can use Hidden Power Electric on Ducklet, and I think that whole idea is kind of a total joke. I mean, the main reason why Chinchou is such a good hard counter to the Ducklet isn't so much that it's got, you know, the fast move damage on it so it can farm it down. It's also that it has the electric subtyping paired with that so it can withstand any sort of hit that Ducklet has to throw at it. Where Budew really can't handle a Brave Bird, of course, and then it also really can't handle an Aerial Ace. So while you could beat it with shields up using the Hidden Power Electric, or you could fast move a weakened Ducklet down, I just don't think it's really all that worth it compared to using Hidden Power Poison instead. And then Hidden Power Rock, ironically enough, like I just screenshotted this, I didn't edit the image beyond that, and I guess I did edit it, I put PV Poke on there. At any rate, Hidden Power Rock, could it be the best of both worlds? No, it's not. It's actually like, it doesn't do anything really extra against the fire type Pokemon, and you definitely lose the Ducklet matchup instead of winning it with shields up, so I wouldn't use Hidden Power Rock. I'd say Hidden Power Poison, and if you really do like the meme dream of using Hidden Power Electric, maybe use Hidden Power Electric, but Hidden Power Poison Budew, pretty threatening, pretty good, I like it. Now number 3 on this list brings us back to actual fire-type Pokemon with Tepig. Tepig has Ember, Body Slam, and Flame Charge. Does this moveset look familiar? Yeah, it's basically Growlithe's moveset, except we have access to Flame Charge, which is technically better than Flamethrower. Flame Charge is a 50 energy cost, Flamethrower is a 55 energy cost. I don't think that you'll be reaching like more than 2 Flame Charges in any given situation, so you could consider Flamethrower to be a little bit better. It is only 5 extra energy, but it is kind of a horse apiece. You do have that boost action, which can also boost your Body Slam, so I'd probably stick with the Flame Charge if you're just getting your feet wet with Tepig here. So, Tepig, what makes it so great? I mean, it's no Vulpix, it's definitely not the tankiest fire-type Pokemon as far as the good fire-type Pokemon go for the Element Cup. That goes to the Vulpix there. So why are we considering Tepig? Well, Tepig is really good, as good if not better than the Growlithe and the Shadow Growlithe there. And, you know, it is slightly worse than the Vulpix, I will say that. But Tepig has 2 interesting advantages going on. For one, it's only 10k Stardust for the 2 move, so you know, 10k Stardust compared to the 50k or more if you go with the Growlithe or the Shadow Growlithe or the Vulpix or the Shadow Vulpix, so that's nice. And then for twosies, we do have Tepig Community Day coming up, I believe on the 3rd, and that means that you've got a bit more IV control when it comes to the Tepig there, and if you do have a max bulk Tepig or like a very tanky Tepig, I don't know exactly where the cutoff is right now, but you just want to be a very tanky boy, less bulky, fix that. You can actually overcome the Cottony in the 0-1 shield situation, just like our buddy Budew does. And the other fire-type Pokemon, I don't believe can do that. Tepig has the possibility of doing that, which means Tepig can steal Budew's little meme right from under its toes there. So yeah, if you want to use a fire-type Pokemon for the Element Cup, but you don't want to dump tons of Stardust into your fire-type Pokemon for the Element Cup, then Tepig is definitely it. And if you want to wait a little bit, we do have the Tepig Community Day, so you can get that max bulk Tepig going on. And I mean, hey, Tepig is actually useful in this meta. Emboar, unfortunately, really isn't good in PvP, so if you wanted to use something PvP with that event there, if you're going to go out and pound the pavement, getting that 3x catch Stardust for the Community Day, then hey, you get an interesting little PvP boy for the relevant cup at the time as well, so go Tepig. Then coming in at number 2, we have Slugma, and Slugma is pretty interesting for this cup. It's a mono fire-type Pokemon, and it has access to Rock Throw, and unlike the Hidden Power Rock Pokemon, the pure Rock Throw damage here can take down the Ducklet, which is nice. And also, unlike Hidden Power Rock Pokemon, aside from Shellos because it's a water type, we can take down opposing fire-type Pokemon with that straight Rock Throw damage, which is also really great. So this guy is the Rock Throw spamming Pokemon, hitting basically everything in this cup for neutral, and potentially dominating Ducklets and opposing fire types, which is nice. And then when it comes to disadvantageous matchups, of course you got Rock Throw, you got Rock Slide, big neutral damage, really good damage there. So what are the drawbacks to Slugma? Like, why isn't Slugma number 1 here? Well, truth be told, I'd probably recommend Tepig to people as a general like fire type Pokemon for this cup before I'd recommend Slugma. Slugma is a little bit of a specialist with the Rock Throw damage, and big problem that Slugma has that definitely holds it back in a major way is its bulk. 326 stat product there, 50 defense, 84 stamina. It's not a tanky Pokemon, so it can't really tolerate charge moves all that well, and if you're not burning shields to keep this thing alive, well then it might not do a whole lot of anything, which is pretty unfortunate for the Slugma there. So in that sense, it is kind of a meme in a way, but because it does have that consistent Ducklet matchup and it can dominate the other fire type Pokemon, and it's not exactly a chump against grass types either. I mean, it is fire type with the fire type resistance there. Slugma definitely makes the grade. But I would be a little bit cautious about building this thing and expecting it to do super good in the Element Cup because it is a very fragile, kind of a specialist Pokemon there. Another cool boon for it though is that it does have a 10k Stardust for the second charge move unlock, so going for a secondary charge move on it, you know, not very expensive, which is pretty nice for these Pokemon. But yeah, once again, just to reiterate for you guys, I wouldn't think of Slugma super hard as like a fire type Pokemon doing fire type things. It's mostly that rock throwing specialist there that is kind of glassy in a lot of other situations. Then finally, number 1 option, finger in the air, we have Vulpix and Shadow Vulpix. And what does Vulpix have over all the other fire types? It's got quite a bit, actually. It's got a lot of really good positives that really sets it apart from every other fire type Pokemon in the Element Cup. For one, it is the tankiest fire type of all the better options here, so tanky Vulpix going on. For 2, we got Weather Ball Fire, which is the Fire Body Slam, so a better fire type charge move than all the other fire types in this cup here. And then finally, we have Quick Attack access, which is huge because there's those water type Pokemon, opposing fire type Pokemon. We can hit them for neutral with Quick Attack, which is massive. It turns Vulpix from a fire type Pokemon to more of an interesting safe swap option. That's primarily how I've been using Vulpix in practice, is as a safe swap, and it's going really well because it's just got Quick Attack and Body Slam for that, you know, neutral spam damage going on, and then it's just tanky in its own right. So even if it is caught in a disadvantageous matchup, this neutral damage there can help it pull ahead. For instance, it has the ability to overcome Ice Shard Seal, and Spark Chinchou can have trouble with it sometimes too, which is pretty massive for a fire type Pokemon. And of course you do have the potential to threaten and maybe KO Ducklet as well. I think that goes without saying here. And then if you ever do change your mind down the line, having already built a Vulpix for the Element Cup, maybe you do want that, fire fast move damage going on, you always have the option to use Ember like Tepig and Growlithe do. You also have that option where they're just kind of stuck using Ember. The main drawback to using the Vulpix here, of course, is that it's 50k Stardust for the 2-move unlock, but I think Vulpix is pretty well worth it just because it's so versatile and so spammy in the Element Cup here. I do expect a lot of the teams that you run into against the Swagman to be carrying a Vulpix somewhere in the squad. Now when it comes to the Shadow versus the regular Vulpix, I'd say they're very, very similar. They just do their jobs ever so slightly different. The regular Vulpix, of course, is much more tanky than the Shadow Vulpix, so that can help it in a lot of matchups where it can actually tank a charge move and keep on swinging, where the Shadow, of course, does have the more aggressive damage, so you could potentially close out fights sooner with the Shadow Vulpix, which can also help you get an advantage by avoiding charge moves from your opponents. So it is a little bit of a horse apiece. I think it comes down to the personal play style, the flavor of yourself, what you want to work with there. I do like the Shadow Vulpix a lot, but I also don't like getting basically obliterated by any single charge move that my opponent throws at me, so there definitely is advantages to using the normal Vulpix. So whatever floats your boat, whatever you got the good IV spread on, whatever you want to spend your Stardust on when it comes to the Element Cup. And that wraps it up for the top 5 fire types in the Element Cup. When it came to the other videos, the top 5 grass types and the top 5 water types, I did do some honorable mentions at the end, but I mean, we had Budew in this video. There really aren't any other good fire type Pokemon for the Element Cup. So if you think Torchic with the Rock Tomb has something interesting going on, I already looked into it. It really doesn't. But hey, whatever floats your boat. At any rate, if you got any questions on this content, comment below, let me know, and I'll be happy to help you out. And if you enjoyed this kind of content, you want to see more like it, maybe you want an Element Cup team building guide. You want to know what the best teams are for the Element Cup? Well, make sure to subscribe to SwagTips. SwagTips. I'd also like to give a special shout out to these Patreon supporters. If you want to support the Swagman on Patreon, link in the description. Slugma. Look at this thing. It's all bubbly and oozy.